This guy finds people in vodka bars and finds out whether or not they have a lot of family, gets them to sign over power of attorney. Then, shortly thereafter, they disappear and winds up actually just making them go away. Now, where it gets weird at is the method in which he disposed of their bodies or committed the crimes. In one aspect, he literally uses a crossbow and an underwater water gun, like
Oh,
a spear
oh, like
into
spearfishing.
water and then like make sure that the guy's like in a river.
Knife in a drawer that's too clean to call a story untold, untold, untold. The windows reflect what I can't unsee. A murder that echoes eternally.
Welcome to Murder, Mayhem, and Mortgages, where buying and selling a home should be one of the safest things you ever do, but in Belarus, it was a death sentence.
I'm Robbie,
I'm Chef.
and we are real estate professionals that have seen both the dark and light sides of real estate.
Yes.
And this week we are bringing you to the Eastern Bloc. As a matter of
Yes.
fact, we have two cases of the black real estate agents.
Yes. My story today, it starts out with a group of criminals that posed as real estate agents between 2009 and 2015. And basically what they would do is they would pose as the real estate agents, they would target elderly people, and they would talk them into signing over their deed in exchange for listing their home and giving them a portion of the proceeds. Now,
Nice.
what essentially happened was after the paperwork was signed, these people would disappear. And
Ooh, kind of creepy.
yeah, yeah, especially, you think you're doing something good and then boom, you're gone. And I imagine if, they were elderly people, maybe they didn't have a lot of people that were looking for them or had a lot of people around because it actually took a while for them to catch on to these people. They,
So they were looking for people that were isolated
well, they
and maybe not had a whole lot of extended family looking after
Yes.
them. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And so essentially, they would, after the paperwork was signed, they would drive them out to like a heavily wooded area. And I think they said they would be strangled and bludgeoned to death.
Okay, so take note number one, lesson number one from this. Family may be a pain in the ass, but they could
Yeah.
be your lifeline. All right.
Yes. And verify that your real estate agent is actually a real estate
Oh
agent.
my gosh.
I mean, here in America, you have to go through a pretty vetted process, and there's a lot of ways, especially with social media and the internet, to verify that somebody is who they say they are. But, 2009, 2015, kind of,
That was before the internet was really very active. I mean, like computers were still limited back in the 90s.
yeah.
Not every family had that. I mean, it's not like today to where we have a walking computer in our pockets.
Well, and Facebook essentially started really taking off around 2010 too. But, and I don't know, in Eastern Europe what the standards are for getting a real estate license or being, just anything involved in that. So I imagine, especially with older folks that don't have the internet or use the internet, it was pretty easy to trick them
Right.
into this stuff.
And I can't imagine they have the same stringent records. I mean, like, at the same time, I mean, like, the economy was certainly still in transition from being a communist society to being privatized in the 90s. So, honestly, they probably didn't have a long series. Like, if you look at
Hmm.
real estate was active all the way in the 1950s. So, there is a history there. And throughout that history, we've developed systems,
Hmm.
companies, verifications, $1 million producer panels, blah, 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 and all this. Well, the systems that we're often complaining about as far as the cost and overall cost wind up being some of your best protections.
Yes.
Because ironically, I doubt that they closed at a title company.
Oh, who knows? But they would find these victims by classified ads. Usually they were desperate to sell their home, they were elderly, and that's essentially how they targeted their people.
Gotcha.
But they were eventually caught, and when they there was one person that actually was reported missing, and that's how they ended up catching these people. But when they found the body of that one missing person, they found 11 other bodies.
Wow. 11.
Yes. And these guys were apprehended, and they were actually the last people in Belarus to be executed by firing squad.
Oh, wow. They were serious about crime, apparently.
Yes. I mean, if the last one
Did
was
we hang 'em?
2015.
No,
No,
let's just
firing
shoot
squad.
them.
That's how they got
Wow.
their
Okay.
their
So a
justice.
stance against crime and title
Yes.
fraud. So
But yours is similar, but in Russia,
it
right?
is, strangely enough, very similar. A decade earlier, picture the 90s, as we mentioned before, in the changeover and the privatization mark of the economy in Russia, there was a lot of fraud. And came about that our black agent of Moscow came from that and was born of that. Now, he started out as a journalist, weirdly enough. Now, the guy's name, crazy enough, is Alexander Muralev. I'm going to murder this man. It's Muralev, and MurYlev. Okay. So, mock my Texas accent. Don't care. I wasn't born in Russia. So, he started out a journalist and then realized that there was a lot to be taken advantage of in the market. As housing and apartments were privatized, he recognized that there were a lot of isolated poor people who were often drunks who really didn't have a whole lot of extended family looking after them or anything, but they had these very expensive apartments. Like overnight, what was considered public housing or housing provided by the government now became the ownership of private residents. And then the market started to climb.
So now they were luxury condos.
Yeah, I wouldn't say luxury so much. I mean, we are talking Russia.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. So, what this guy does is he decides he's going to become a realtor and he looks for the best base in town. The base he looks for, vodka bars. All right. So, if your referral base for real estate agents is vodka bars, yeah, think elsewhere.
I mean,
All
where
right.
else would you go to stay warm in Russia?
Apparently, they drink a lot. And so, yeah, this guy finds people in vodka bars and finds out whether or not they have a lot of family, gets them to sign over power of attorney, very similar in that circumstance. And then shortly thereafter, they disappear and winds up actually just making them go away. Now, where it gets weird at is the method in which he disposed of their bodies or committed the crimes. So, in one aspect, he literally uses a crossbow and an underwater water gun, like a spear,
Oh, like
into
spearfishing.
water, and then like make sure the guy's like in a river. Okay. The second one that was particularly, I mean, this is just crazy. He kills a couple. It's like a man and his confidant winds up killing them after they sign over power of attorney and rolls them up in carpet. He takes a freaking cab. Like, how drunk was the cab driver not to recognize the lumpy roll up of the carpet with these bodies inside?
I mean, unless it was
Drops.
like, what is it? Breakfast at Ernie's or whatever, where they
You
cart
know
around the
what?
dead
I mean,
guy
like,
with sunglasses all
what is
day.
he actually saying? Like, I'm staging the apartment. You know, I mean, like, what the heck, right? So anyway, he gets the cab driver to drive him off and drop him off at a certain place, and then he opens up the little canister over the sewer system and drops them in the sewer system. So, but he has another victim, and he goes to kill the other victim, and that victim gets away and runs off to the police, reports them, and of course, he gets caught.
Good.
What is absolutely crazy about this, though, because all his victims immediately within a few short days after signing over power of attorney, they all wind up disappearing and they find all these bodies, more than 10 of them.
Gosh.
So, and not even bodies in some cases. It was just disappearing poor people who owned an apartment and suddenly it was transitioned over. And the very next day, somebody else lives there.
Yeah.
Basically, right. So it was hard. There wasn't a whole lot of documentation. There were all these things that made it challenging for the police. The police actually captured them. But what was ironic was he, during this period, also went back to his journalistic instincts and was reporting on the inconsistencies of paperwork and how easy it was to commit fraud of title
Oh my
and to
gosh.
sell the apartment. So I'm going back to like, what was it? We had the Amazon review killer.
Yeah.
This guy's like the self reporting killer of Moscow. So he's like, I really think that we should use pens on these documents. I mean, like, it just baffles me. I mean, like, what they got away with. So his killing spree lasted all of between 1993 to 1994, so more than 10 in a single period. He's actually still in jail to this day, although I don't know. He was put in a prison, and he's apparently really suffering on his health and wellness.
Oh,
The
wow.
prison that he's in
Little
is called
violin.
White Swan, which I'm sure means a really elegant, like, prison in probably, I don't know, like Siberia or something. But and who knows whether or not he's one of the prisoners that were released over into Ukraine to fight the war. Who the heck knows?
Oh my gosh.
But
Well, that would
as
make
of
sense
this
with this
year,
crime. Maybe he went
right?
and like coached those people.
You never know. But he wasn't shot. He wasn't killed. He was placed in prison all these years. He's been in prison and is supposed to spend his entire life. But apparently, he's one of the few Russian serial killers that were actually caught, captured, and is still in prison, allegedly. So,
Yeah, and that's why we have things now like phone calls for people who give power of attorneys. It's called an alive and well phone call. I had when I when my husband and I bought our house, he was overseas at the time, and so of course I had power of attorney, but we had to do an alive and well call to make sure that he was indeed still on this planet while I'm signing for houses and paperwork.
are we sure it was the right one? Kidding. Kidding. Not really so funny. So,
Yes.
all right. So, at the end of every show, we do try to rate every story that we cover
Mhm.
on murder, mayhem, and mortgages, a scale of 1 to 5. So both stories carried fraud. I'm going to
Mhm.
give yours a solid 5 because, man, they nailed it with 11 people and over, just did it until the firing squad. So, and they murdered each and every one. So I'm going to give you a 5 on both of those.
Yes.
And so mortgages, I don't think there was any mortgages, but it was still loan fraud in of
Yeah.
itself. So I'm going to give you a solid 5 on all 3. So 15.
Yes, that's my
Boom.
first perfect score.
I love it.
Woo! And then for yours, I would have to give you 5s as well. Well, no.
No.
I think on the
She
Mayhem,
pulled it back, y'all.
Mayhem, I'm going to downgrade you to a 4 because he's still alive.
He is still
That's
alive,
insane.
but he reported on himself. Are you kidding me? He was
Yeah.
a journalistic instincts came out and he told on himself.
I think it's just a waste of public resources to house a criminal like that until they die.
Well,
Like,
you may need him for a war or something. You just never know. All right. So that is it for today's wrap up of Murder, Mayhem, and Mortgages. Now,
Yes.
if you have your own personal story you'd like to share with us that you'd like to see featured on this podcast, we'd love to share it with you. Check out the email below, and we will review it and see if we can tell your dark tale.
And please don't forget to like and subscribe on your favorite channel. And we look forward to seeing you next time.